What's up, everybody? It is the Best Bot Kid Smooth, and I'm back with a video. And I know this video is a little bit late, but I'm just an average Joe, a regular dude with a 9 to 5. And today was a busy day, so I really couldn't react to all the news live or like an immediate video. I kind of had to do my instant reactions on Twitter and then go home and like rewatch a lot of the videos and highlights and whatnot. So today it's Monday. We're going to talk a little bit more about Xbox Series X because lately Xbox has been dropping gems and news pretty much a couple times a week, starting with Monday. So if you guys know, last week Xbox sent out Xbox Series X units, preview units to journalists and big content creators, Digital Foundry, Austin Evans, IGN, VentureBeat, Jeff Grubb, Jeff Keighley, all those guys, and they've all been able to toy with it, play with it. None of them are actually playing next generation games. Obviously, none of them exist right now because they're all due to come out in November. They pretty much has been using this to like sort of benchmark backwards compatible games, Xbox One games, Xbox 360 games, OG Xbox games, some games with regular Xbox One X enhancements, and the feedback for the Series X has been overwhelmingly positive. People are talking about how quiet it is and how they can't go back to the original Xbox One or the Xbox One X. The load times, the quick resume is proven better than what they expected. Games getting their huge performance boosting gains. But what I'm going to talk about those reactions and everything. But I also want to address a lot of the haters because the minute this stuff started to pop off at 9 a.m., a lot of these people's like articles and previews started to go live, and about 9:02, the haters started to come out in full force. One of the revelations about the Xbox Series X is it's the space that you'll get on the SSD once Microsoft takes their cut for the operating system and reserve files. You're left with about 802 gigabytes left. More like when you buy an Xbox One or a PS4, you know, we buy 1 terabyte systems and whatnot, and when we turn it on, we don't get a full terabyte. We get like, it's usually, we're left with like 700 and some change to before we even install our first game. So we're all familiar with this stuff. So some people wanted to act really brand new and try to say that the Xbox is false advertising their 1 terabyte hard drive, their 1 terabyte SSD. It is truly a 1 terabyte SSD, but there is system like OS reservations and stuff which existed ever since consoles used like hard drives. But there's people online now tweeting this out as if, oh my god, breaking news, you're not getting a full 1 terabyte. And I can't believe I saw this on Twitter and they were like dead serious. Just to remind you guys, we know the PlayStation 5 is an 820 gigabyte PS5, and for the SSD, we don't know how much memory is going to take for their reserve for their OS and all that stuff. But I look forward to seeing these people reserve their comments for how much space they use and how much is actually left for the gamer, because people actually made this a big deal today, which was strange. But other than that, people wanted to complain at the fact that there was no next gen games shown. Nobody's playing new games. Oh, why are they showing old games and stuff like that? Well, Xbox has been very consistent and with the rollout of the Series X doing its features. And right now, until we get playable builds of current gen games, the Xbox currently can show off a lot of its features on existing games, whether it's that's boosting resolutions, boosting frame rate, boosting load times, adding HDR. It's the easiest. If we literally had to wait until media and journalists got review codes for games that have come out until November for them to test out the Series X, then we wouldn't got a preview. You know, so this is how I see it, and I don't understand why people find this like so hard to believe. Well, why aren't they playing Cyberpunk 2077 or Assassin's Creed Valhalla? Those games don't come out until mid-November. It's September still. The review codes aren't out yet. Cyberpunk hasn't even gone gold yet, by the way, just to give you guys a heads up. But you guys are expecting them to be playing pretty much full games that aren't out yet. It was just a lot. So Xbox has been, very open about their system and the system capabilities, letting people test it and like experience it for themselves, and is very impressive of what we've seen. And before I get into some of the results, I just want to highlight something here. Behind me is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and obviously Assassin's Creed Valhalla got a little update. 60 frames per second on Xbox Series X. I remember talking a whole lot of shit on Open Wheel Podcast earlier this year about how the Series X will definitely run Assassin's Creed Valhalla at 60 frames per second and 4K, and it's going to do it on the Xbox Series X. Yeah, just wanted to point that out there. So now we can get on to the other thing. So let's talk about things that the Xbox Series X is actually doing. They've tested games like, for example, Grand Theft Auto on the Xbox 360. This thing is between 20 to 40 frames per second on a 360 and the Xbox One X and whatnot. Crappy frame rate because it's unlocked. But on the Xbox Series X, this game's run at a full lock to pretty much 60 frames per second. And then one of our favorite games, game of the year last year, Sekiro, on the Xbox One X is a fixed 1800p on the Xbox One X, but the frame rate is actually unlocked or uncapped. There's no cap on the frame rate, or maybe I think it's just unlocked. But the same game running on a Series X is 60 frames per second most of the time. Sure, it dips here and there, but it's 60. From what we played on Xbox One and PlayStation, we were playing a 40 frames per second game. About 35 to 40 frames per second game. It was just, we enjoyed it because the game was like dope, challenging. The story was good. Visually, it was impressive. But performance-wise, it was recommended you play the game on a PC. I obviously didn't do that, but I will definitely run through this game again on the Xbox Series X, knowing that it's hitting 60 frames this time around. Here's another image I had up here. There we go. They also look at No Man's Sky, hitting 60 frames per second. Monster Hunter World, 4K, 60 frames per second. And these aren't enhanced games, guys. These aren't optimized games. These are the regular games that compat, and they're just pretty much the Xbox Series X is just kind of brute forcing it to do what it can. And same again, Xbox One X 1080p 60 mode for Final Fantasy 15 barely ever touched 60 frames per second. Look at the averages you're seeing there. On the Xbox Series X, runs it at just the lock 60 frames per second. Now, the only issue with this is that they had like the modes I think they have in this game. They don't have like an unlocked resolution 4K mode. We think the Series X can definitely do this in 4K 60. Same with the other games that are 4K that have like the 4K mode. Quality mode is usually quality mode on One X is like 4K 30 or 1800p 30 or something like that, whereas if it has a performance mode, the target is like 60 frames per second at like either 1080p or 1440p. The Series X and a lot of these benchmarks crush that. Like Hitman, there's a 1440p 60 mode and a 4K mode, and you have the option to unlock the frame rate. On the Series X, the 1440p mode is not needed at all because the game can run 4K 60 on the Series X with the frame rate unlocked, of course. So the thing about this game, when we were seeing this, we were all amazed. Like the load times. Now, I'm not as impressed with the load times with some of these games because some of them are very quick and some of them are like surprisingly still like lengthy. But the one thing I really wanted to point out, and that none of these people online on Twitter and all this other stuff, these haters, that they're not realizing is that every game right now that these journalists and YouTube content creators are playing on these preview Series X boxes is that none of them are optimized. None of them are developed for the Series X. None of them are boosted or like remastered for the Series X. They're just our regular existing games we play now. And because of the limitations of the Xbox One X and the PlayStation 4, we're pretty much stuck with the performance and the resolutions they have on those platforms, right? By that, taking that same game, whether you have it physically or digitally, and just playing it off the rip on the Series X. The Series X is doing this by itself like a PC, pretty much. It's taking that same game and adding HDR. It's taking that same game, and if it's an unlocked frame rate, it's going to boost it to the highest it go. If it's a dynamic resolution type of game, it's going to take it to the max resolution and to the max frame rate, because it's capable of doing that. And people are online literally shitting on this, though. So they're looking at, like, they'll be looking at, anytime they Digital Foundry shows something where the frame drops by like 2, even though it was averaging like 32 on the Xbox One X, but it's at 60, dropping to 58 on the Series X. These guys are like talking shit, thrashing it. It's weak, da 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 da. Not really. These games that they're playing aren't even made for the Series X. The Series X is not in mind. Like, so imagine what the games that are actually made for the Series X will be able to do. Like, games that are actually made to leverage the freaking SSD and velocity architecture and stuff like that. Like, the Series X is literally for your current games a fucking benchmark like machine. Like, it's going to take, like, I'm curious to see how PlayStation 5 handles backwards compatibility, because I'm telling you guys this now, dude. If you're just playing PlayStation 4 games on PS5 and it's just the same level as PS4 games, they just load fucking faster or some shit like that, like, I won't let you guys live it down. I'm going to talk a whole lot of shit. Now, if PlayStation manages to do backwards compatible and make these games perform, excel, beats out the way Xbox does it, and they're like, hitting those frame rates on every game, or they're increasing the resolution on every game. If it's doing that, because people see, because people get lost in the noise, right? Here's some facts that I've been tweeting about that everybody ignores. Let's take a game like Rise, right? Assuming that Microsoft doesn't implement, because Microsoft hasn't shown off the frame rate multiplier yet, where games that where they double the frame rate themselves on games and whatnot. But let's take a game like a static fixed game, Rise. The Rise Son of Rome there's no dynamic resolution, there's no unlock frames per second. Rise Son of Rome is a fixed 900p targeting 30 frames per second game, right? That game on Xbox One X is still a 900p 30 frames per second game. On Xbox Series X, it will remain a 900p 30 frames per second game, except it'll be a solid 30 frames because, it dips on the Xbox One. It'll remain 30. So developers will have to go back to that game and enhance it if they want to. What's going to happen to Rise is that it's going to get HDR on the system level, and it's going to have faster load times. But games and people can't like factor that in. The games that's going to get the most benefit is like the games that Bethesda make, like the Dooms, the Wolfensteins, Call of Duty, because they've been doing, there's like the last 4 Call of Duty games did like dynamic resolutions. Any game that has a dynamic resolution or unlock frame rate, or both, you know how they trade off frame rate for resolution, like, so they'll keep the game at like a high like 50 to 60, the resolution will be fluctuating every now and then. Those games on the Xbox Series X, without the developer touching it, if it's targeting 4K 60, and it never like really hit those numbers on the Xbox One X, it's going to be 4K 60, full 4K 60 on the Series X. That's what it's going to do. Games that are those unlocked frame rate and their average frame rate is like 45 something, it's going to be 60 on the Series X. That's the games that are going to get the most benefit without developers touching it at all. The Series X is just going to take advantage of it. If it's a fixed game, a fixed 1080p 30 frames per second game, or a fixed 4K 30 frames per second game, like capped frame rate, the Series X is not going to do much for it, because there's nothing if they lock the caps. And you guys have a brain, I expect you guys to know that, but you're acting like you don't. But now I'm curious to see that I want to see the PlayStation 5 version of this. If it beats out Xbox Series X, dude, bro, bravo. Like, I mean, I'm going to give it all the cheers because I've been an advocate to backwards compatibility. I'm an advocate to free remasters and the things that the Xbox do because I've been dealing with it longer. I've been playing with it. I've been playing with the 360 games and enhanced for the one. I've been talking about them for years now. And now that is getting more attention and is being done to a much bigger, broader level is going to be insane. And there are people out there that really want to hate on it, and and I don't know if it's just their lack of understanding or they're just not aware, but it's just the wrong time to be trying to hate on this technology. So the Xbox Series X is definitely doing some big things. Yes, still disappointed because I do want to see some Xbox Series X games. I do want to see what Assassin's Creed Valhalla is running like, what it looks like. I want to see real like functioning gameplay of the medium, like just a good like. I want to see Xbox Series X gameplay, for real. Like, I mean, we saw it. It's like I can't front. We seen Series S gameplay. We did see Series X gameplay, but we want to see like the new stuff. So they need to kind of take the lid off this thing and show the games that we really want to see. But this is awesome to see because for me, because at the end of the day, there's not a whole lot of games. There's these games we're going to be getting this fall, but during that downtime, there's a lot of these games that they showed I'm going to be returning to. Like I'm going to be playing current games, regular games. There's not a whole lot. There's nobody's blown after you get through with like the launch games, which there's not many of them. I'm going to be playing the regular games. I'm going back to my backlog because I know the Series X is going to be doing some things to that thing. So the other thing we're going to talk about is that, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it, is PlayStation 5. They're telling retailers, the people that actually like pre-ordered in person, that some of those people not getting their consoles at launch. They're going to have to, they might have to wait, like, which is odd. But I don't know. They should just delay the damn thing if it's coming in hot like that. I do, which also dampers the news. So, for example, I was able to secure a PlayStation 5 today. Shout out to some of my pals on the Weapon Wheel side. So I was able to secure a pre-order. But the thing is, I'm not like I'm hyped, but I'm not hyped because there's no guarantee that I'm going to get it for launch. The way that they're moving. So if I get it, I get it. I'll be happy with it. I plan on getting maybe 2 games for the PlayStation 5, and that is Spider-Man Miles Morales. Yes, unfortunately, the $70 version. And no, actually, Godfall and Demon Souls. I'll get 3. I'll give Demon Souls a try actually. But that's 70, and 70. Damn, I'm only getting like one game on this Series X, like out of pocket. That's like Valhalla. Like everything else is gonna be on Game Pass. All right, so yeah, so that's unfortunate with these damn like PlayStation pre-orders. Series X had like Amazon sending their standard emails. I'm not too worried about Amazon's pre-orders because they kind of do the same thing. That's like their standard messaging. They're just protecting their asses right now. But this whole PlayStation thing is weird. I know a lot of the PlayStation insiders say there's supposed to be some sort of a reveal, or not reveal, but like deep dive for the PlayStation 5 this week. So we're still looking forward to that. Hopefully we get to see it, see the UI. We've seen gameplay, so we're not really sweating gameplay. But the thing that I'm actually curious to see on PlayStation is things people swear they don't want to see on Xbox, and that's the backwards compatibility. I just want to see how it works. How is PlayStation 5 going to be handling these PS4 games and these PS4 Pro games? Like, what is it going to do? Is it going to do anything extra that the PS4 Pro couldn't do at the time, or the PS4 couldn't do at the time, or we're just playing raw games? Like, I'm just curious. I'm curious to see how it works because we know what the Xbox can do. We've seen it, and then we know Microsoft itself are putting on like out personal remasters for the Series X with their optimized games, the things that they're doing with Gears 5, things that they're doing with Forza Horizon 4 and Sea of Thieves, increasing their frame rates and increasing their resolutions. And these games, some of these games run up to 120 frames per second. it's going to be dope, and I'm curious. And Doom goes into Game Pass in a couple of days, and I'm probably not going to touch it until the Series X, because I believe Doom has like a dynamic resolution. Like, I think it's dynamic resolution. It targets 60 frames per second. It nearly holds 60 frames per second on the One X. I'm pretty sure it's going to cap out on the Series X and cap out at 4K as well. So I'm looking forward to it, man. It's just been a great day for Xbox, great day for gamers. Shout out to you PlayStation guys, you PS5 guys. You don't have to wait too long for Yakuza Like a Dragon. That game is scheduled to launch on the PlayStation 5 on March 2nd, 2021, and it comes out 3 days early. Now that the Series X is a November 10th release, it will be coming out at launch with the Series X. They did announce something weird. So if you upgrade your Yakuza on PlayStation 5, your saves won't go with you. And they kind of only name dropped the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 consoles. They didn't really say that for the Series X or the Xbox. But we'll see. I want to know your guys' thoughts on everything that went down today. Do you care about Xbox Series X's backwards compatibility feature and the things that it's doing to games from 2001, 2008, and the games that we currently have? I mean, a lot of us is getting these quality of life upgrades, and I know a lot of people are going to be happy about some of these things. People that actually really care, people that actually really game. They don't Metacritic game, they don't Twitter game, they just play games, and they play what they like. So, and there's not a lot of new hotness out right at this moment. So the fact that people talk like they playing brand new games every day, we know there's not really nothing hot out right at this moment. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, man. Hit the like button. I'm sorry this video is so long. I promise you I'm not doing this shit for algorithms. It's just that I really wanted to talk a lot about what happened and get my thoughts out and kind of, throw some salt on a lot of these naysayers, these haters. But if you aren't subscribed to this channel, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. Please subscribe and let me get to 11K. Hit the join button and be a part of the Planet Xbox chats. I'll be streaming soon. I have to do one more hour of Track Mania, and I didn't have to start Fallout New Vegas on a hard difficulty. These are both Weapon Wheel request streams, so I'm not looking forward to it, but gotta do it. It's my job. That's it, guys. Xbox is the best box, and I am the best bot. Good night or good morning if you're on the other side of the globe. I'm out of here. Peace. Xbox!